Welcome to this webinar on inventory scanning solutions for your warehouse and logistics. It's Amanda here from marketing. I'm joined by Simon Curran, our senior solutions architect, and he'll run us through some scanning options that are available to integrate into your SAP Business One solution. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Simon.
Hi everyone, it's Simon here. Thanks for the introduction, Amanda. All right, so let's get underway. Firstly, on our agenda, we're going to be having a look at why scanning. It's a hot topic of conversation these days, and we'd basically just like to answer some of those questions and dispel some of those myths. Then we're going to be looking at our first product, which is Project Scan, and we're going to be looking at those functions and benefits that you can get from it. Then after that, I'll be taking you through a demonstration, just with some simple scenarios so that you can get an idea of the kind of capability it has and how easy it is to use. Then we'll be moving on to our microchannel product, the MI1 scanning solution, and be looking at the functions and benefits of it, as well as some look and feel pictures just to get an idea for what it can do and its functions. All right, and then we'll be doing a bit of a comparison towards the end. We'll be looking at which scanning solution essentially would be better for your particular warehouse/ERP system environment. So why scanning? It's a very hot topic, and a lot of people are interested in it. And just going through some of the benefits that you can achieve with scanning in your warehouse. So first and foremost, and probably the single most important aspect to this, is the increased accuracy of your inventory. So as you can see, the number says it all, 99.9%. Obviously, that's a very optimistic number, but essentially, the name of the game with scanning is to increase accuracy across the board, be it with picking, with packing, your stock takes, you name it, essentially. So the reduction of errors. As mentioned previously, reducing your error rates. A lot of that's done by the way that the system guides you on how to do particular things. And a classic case of that is if you are putting items away after you receive them. An example would be that it tells you which particular bin location within the warehouse to go and put that item. All right, and then quite an important one, and it's a common one that we all face on a day-to-day basis, is the classic transcription errors, or basically typing the wrong character or the wrong number. If you are literally receiving 5 items, the easiest way to make sure that you get that number 5 in there rather than typing it in is to scan those items, all 5 of them. And when you do that, it's very difficult to make a mistake. All right, and then with regards to the picking aspect of things, a very common problem that people encounter is potentially scanning the wrong, picking the wrong items on orders. And this can be greatly reduced or even eliminated by using picking in combination with a scanning device. And that essentially is because that barcode can only be linked to that one particular item that you're after. And by extension, you'll have a lower number of returns. And it's mostly because you won't be making as many errors. All right, and then basically you're going to get additional flexibility and capability to fulfill your customer requests. And that just means you can react faster and get your picks out the door faster. And the last point basically is just bringing our administration or back office people together with our operations people, our warehouse staff, in a more of an electronic way, where previously we would have the back office in SAP Business One and the warehouse staff essentially pushing around pieces of paper. All right, so onto our first solution, Project Scan. So just a bit of a background, Project Scan is actually a Boyum product. So Boyum IT, who's a company that quite a lot of our customers would be aware of. They're the makers of the Boyum Usability Pack, which is a very common add-on in the SAP Business One universe. And we've got a lot of customers that are very passionate about that product. And so Boyum acquired the Project company, which is a Belgian company, towards the middle of last year. And with that, they've acquired this suite of products. So the product we're going to be looking at today is Project Scan, and this is Boyum's smaller warehousing product. They also have a larger product called Project WMS, and I'm sure we'll be covering that in another webinar in the not too distant future. Basically, what is Project Scan going to allow you to do? So it's an easy to implement fully functional mobile bar scanning solution. Now, I would first of all just want to do a quick sort of statement just to say that there are two different kinds of systems with regards to these products. So there's typically what we call scanning solutions, and then there are full-blown warehouse management systems, or WMSs. Now, Project Scan is exactly as I have it there. It's a mobile bar scanning solution. That essentially means that it's going to be using all of SAP's standard functions. So it's not replacing any pre-existing functionality or increasing it in any way. It's basically using all that standard functionality and allowing you to scan barcodes to increase that accuracy. With the bigger products like Project Mix WMS, you have a lot of additional advanced functionality, which in some cases will actually replace the functionality that's standard out the box with SAP Business One, and will allow you to do much more complicated flows within your warehouse. Things like advanced wave picking, advanced putaways of your stock, and cycle counting as well. Which solution would possibly be best for you? That's something that I would suggest that you book a phone call with our sales team, and we can organize a customized consultation with you, as well as a customized demo of your chosen solution. So some of the benefits of Project Mix Scan: it supports all those standard SAP Business One documents as previously mentioned. So that's all of your SAP Business One warehouses, bins, units and measure groups, and branches all out the box. And then you've got your standard procure to pay process in SAP Business One. So receiving your purchase orders, doing returns, all those sorts of things are right there in the solution. Then we also have your order to cash, and that's your standard sales cycle, which involves creating pick lists, deliveries, returns, all the standard SAP Business One stuff is there. Then we also have manual and automatic replenishment. Essentially revolves around the standard stock transfers and stock transfer requests in SAP. But it also has a feature which allows you to replenish stock from one bin location to another. And why would you want to do that? Well, you may have a pick face in your warehouse at a particular location, and you might have a bulk pallet of stock above that. We can then configure that system to suggest replenishments from that bulk stock at the top in your pallet into your pick face, so that that stock is ready there for your staff to pick, so they don't have to waste time breaking open a pallet. All right, then with regards to production in SAP, Project Scan allows you to do your issues to production as well as your receipts from production. And then a very popular feature of scanning solutions is stock takes and stock cycle counting as well. Nothing better than to be able to just move around the warehouse quickly and just click, click, beep, beep, and get those numbers into the system, rather than having to write it onto a piece of paper and then move it into an Excel spreadsheet and then upload that. It just cuts out all those unnecessary time-consuming steps. The Project Scan also has standard batch and serial number capabilities, much like SAP Business One, and supports all of those features. Another fantastic feature as well is the fully configurable label printing. And this is particularly useful in certain system events or scenarios. And a good example of that would be when we're creating a goods receipt PO in the system, and there may not be barcodes on a particular product that you're purchasing. But in order to make the system work, obviously we need barcodes. So what we can have is we can have a report or a label printer spit out labels for each one of those products that you are receiving into your warehouse, and then just stick them on the box. And then you can subsequently scan that barcode. All right, and the last point there is a little bit more complex. We weren't going to be talking about it too much today, but it's just to let you know that the solution is fully what we call GS1 128 compliant. And GS1 is essentially a global organization that looks after the allocation of barcodes and barcode ranges. And that's basically quite an important thing if you do business with, as an example, one of the big supermarkets, Coles or Woolworths. They would definitely like you to be using that sort of a solution and be compliant with the GS1 format. All right, just some of the benefits of Project Mix Scan. Well, warehouse operations are going to be easier and more effective. And then correctly shipping those products and improving customer service levels. There's nothing worse than, as a consumer, getting the wrong items that you've been eagerly awaiting. So from that perspective, it's always good to be able to prevent that situation from happening. Then reduction of product returns and lower number of customer credit notes, basically as a result of the previous point. And then significantly reducing paperwork. And this is a classic example, and again linked to our stock take. Stock takes are the ultimate tree killers with regards to paper. And you can just imagine in a large warehouse how many sheets and count sheets need to be printed in order to normally go and count that. With a solution like Project Scan, literally no paper is required to do a stock take, and it's actually definitely possible to eliminate paper in most of your business processes using a scanning solution. All right, then lowering the efforts and time for picking whilst increasing labor productivity. So just essentially making your workforce more efficient. And just to highlight that all the SAP Business One inventory transactions are supported out the box with Project Scan. And there's also no need to learn any new concepts or processes because it is standard SAP Business One functionality out the box. All right, so just a quick diagram just to kind of show you one of the flows and how Project Scan would work. So we'd start with our sales order, and this is just an example of an order to cash from the sales perspective. Starting off with a sales order, then again, a standard SAP Business One process, you can either go into a particular sales document and right-click and go generate pick list, or more commonly, you'd be using the pick and pack manager with an SAP Business One. And the pick and pack manager, obviously, you'd be using to release bulk orders and bulk picking and stuff like that. That's all good. That's what it's designed for. And then as those pick lists are generated, the standard pick list in SAP Business One, you'll then retrieve that on your scan gun or however you are using the system. And I'll be showing that shortly in our demonstration. From the scan gun, you can actually create the delivery note in SAP directly. You don't have to leave that to your back office to do. So if you're happy with your warehouse staff creating those delivery documents, that's all good as well. So I'm going to quickly jump onto our SAP Business One system. And first and foremost, I just want to show you some of the different screens that we'll use to configure Project Scan, just very briefly. Basically, I've got to open here the employee master data, where we will configure our users essentially. So our warehouse users, they'll be using the gun or the scanning device. And I've accessed that by getting into the employee master data over here. Now, none of the information here really changes too much, but what you'll see over here on the right-hand side is our normal SAP Business One user-defined field bar. And you'll see their authorization fields here for all the different functions within Project Scan. I've turned them on for my user, pretty much all of them, and as well as setting my password as well over here. Basically, configuring a user with Project Scan is very quick and easy. You essentially just create an employee master record for them and assign their authorizations over here, and they're pretty much then ready to go. You can also set such things as the default printer that they may be using. So they might be only working in a particular part of the warehouse where there may be a specific label printer. So you can then assign them to that particular label printer as well as their default. All right. Now, onto standard SAP Business One. This should be hopefully nothing new to anyone. But what I just want to quickly highlight, and a bit of common sense here, is that the solution really isn't going to work unless you have barcodes attached to your item master data. So as an example over here, I have this printer over here, and I have assigned a barcode to this particular printer over here. And this can be done relatively quick and easily using our import tool, Data Transfer Workbench. And that's just a spreadsheet that needs to be updated with all your items and a barcode. Now, one thing as well that it supports, and you'll see that I haven't got it showing here, is the multiple units of measure that you get in SAP Business One. So if I was scanning a single printer in a box, or if I had a pallet of printers, I might have a pallet listed over here as my unit of measure group, and then I can have a different barcode for that particular unit of measure. That will then allow me to scan in pallets rather than single boxes, and basically just have one scan instead of potentially 50 or 60, depending how many boxes we have on our pallet. So definitely a time saver there as well. The other aspect as well is setting up bin locations within SAP Business One. Now, I'll stress this is not mandatory. You do not have to set up bin locations in SAP Business One. But generally speaking, a warehouse that uses bin locations is better organized, and the system absolutely supports that out of the box. Again, this is standard SAP Business One functionality, and you can see by just moving through some of the records here. These are just some of the bin locations I have in this particular system. So if you haven't implemented bin locations yet, that's definitely something to consider, that you can get microchannel, the SAP consultants involved to help you advise on how to do that. With regards to doing putaways of the stock and things like that, it's a great check step that when you're putting stock away in your warehouse at a particular warehouse bin location, that the system will actually ask you to scan a barcode which represents that bin location number. So that way, basically just prevents people from putting stock away in the wrong location. Okay, so on to a bit of a demonstration now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, and I'll park that sales order down there, is I've put a purchase order into SAP already over here. So I'll just bring that up so we can have a quick look. What I've actually done is I've just captured 2 items, and I put them against my bin location warehouse over here. So that's my warehouse number 5. All right, so there it is. It's ready to receipt. And I'm going to now bring up Project Mix Scan. And I'm just going to type in my user code and my password. That's number 10. And hit my password. And what you'll actually see here in front of you here is what we call an emulator. And an emulator essentially is just emulating the software that would run on the actual mobile device with a screen. Now you can actually use this emulator. You could have a laptop in the warehouse with a USB scanner, pretty much exactly what I've got here at the moment. And that can act as your mobile device if you want. So you could put that onto a trolley and move that around. That would be a cheaper way of doing things because the mobile barcode scanners can be a little bit pricey. All right, so first things first, you can see, let's have a look at some of the features of Project Mix Scan on the scan gun itself. So I've actually, I've specified a favorite section, which you don't have to set up, but you can set that up on a per user basis in that employee master section that we had a look at just now. And I've just set up my good to see PO over there, stock transfer, picking for sales. And then we've got something called a stock query, which just essentially allows me to see how much stock is at a particular location. All right, and then just basically going through some of the features over here, you can see as I go to seat, our production element over there for production if you do that, deliveries around sales orders and your AR process, your stock transfers, and your replenishment recommendations, and your standard inventory transactions. So if you're doing a goods receipt or a goods issue to get some stock out, your stock counting for your stock take, it's all there as you can see. And at the bottom over here, you can see we can you can actually print labels directly from the gun if you want, from the scanning gun, and you can always go and do things like you can go lock certain bin locations if you want to, so you don't have to go into the back office in order to go and turn off certain bins if there's some reason for that. Okay. All right, so first things first, we're going to go and we're going to receive that purchase order that we saw in SAP Business One. So I'm just going to click into the good to see PO, the little truck over here. And the first thing that we see here is I can put in a document number. So if I know what that purchase order number is, I can punch it in there directly. But and likewise, if there's you know who the supplier is, which you probably would, then you can select it from a list. But I'm just going to click on the reload button, and that's going to show me literally a reopen purchase order in the system. And it's probably the quickest way of doing things if you don't have too many purchase orders in the system. And I'm going to go down to my purchase order. That's that one over there, that 596. So we'll just double check that, 596, there it is. And we'll basically go and click on that and or touch it with your finger on the touch screen. It's the same thing essentially. Click on receive. And then we'll see our 2 line items that we have on our purchase order. Now, what I'm actually going to do is I actually have a barcode scanner attached to my laptop at the moment. So I'm actually going to scan some barcodes that I've printed out, and we can see essentially how that works. So I'm going to go and scan my JB Office Print 1420 over there. There are 2 of them, so I'm going to scan, and you'll see that the item comes in there. And it's now asking me for a quantity to put into a particular bin location, because remember I said that this is a bin location warehouse. Now with bin locations, there are 2 items on this purchase order. I could have each of those items in different bin locations if I wanted to, but I've set up this system to automatically receipt all of my stock into a receiving location. So I've just called that warehouse 5-receiving location. So I'm going to put that in there, and then the idea is that I'll get my staff to put that away using a stock transfer a little bit later on. So all I have to do is then put 2 in there and add, and click on the update. Sorry, one on it. And I'll then scan it again because we want to do the next item. And the same there. All right, now you can see we've got a green little tick over there. That means that we've finished receiving that line over there. So the next one is going to be our rainbow 1200 laser. Now this is a particular example I put in here, and this is a serial tracked item. So we'll see how that's different. Okay, so I'm going to scan there. Let's get the right scan. Again, it's gone to the default bin location I've set, the receiving location, but now we're actually going to scan a serial number for that particular item. And I just happen to have some serial numbers here, so I'm going to scan that quickly. And that's basically scanned into SAP now. So I'm just going to scan the last item, which is that last here. I basically just scan in another serial number. And there you go. All right, so we've got those 2 serial numbers scanned in. All I have to now do is click the OK button or touch it with your finger. And you'll see we've got a post button over here now. Now, I could go and post that singular PO to the Good PO, or I could actually go and receipt more now. And Project Mix Scan will actually keep all that information in its tables. And then when we're ready to post to SAP Business One, we can post multiple documents at the same time if we want. In this particular example, I'm just going to post this particular one. So I click post. And it's going to tell me successfully posted that Good PO 625. All right, now I'm going to go back to SAP and we'll just have a look at it now. So I'll refresh that purchase order and you'll see now that both of those lines have been receipted. So I can now go and look at my relationship map. And there we have our Good PO now. So I can double click into that and I can see that they're my 2 items over here. And I can then also have a look and see basically my serial transactions report. There I can see those 2 serial numbers that I scanned over there. Great stuff. Okay. And yeah, we can also basically have a look and see our bin locations over here. So we can see that it's gone into our receiving location over here. All right. So far, so good. All right, so we're going to run with that little scenario a bit now, and we're going to say, okay, those goods are sitting in our receiving location. So what we want to do now is we want to transfer them from our receiving location through to their actual homes in the warehouse, their own particular bin locations. The next step is we're going to do a stock transfer. So we don't even have to really be in SAP for this. We'll just go straight to Project Mix Scan again. And I'm going to go to my transfer icon over here. Now, the first thing it's going to ask me for is the warehouse, and that's particularly if I'm not using bin locations. But in this particular case, I am using bin locations. So I'm going to put in rather the bin location where we've been working with. I'm just going to copy that one in there, like so. And now I can basically scan the item that I want to move. So I just want to move one of these printers. So I'm just going to select that original printer that we looked at and over there. And then I click on the reload button because this particular one didn't have a serial number. And it's going to show me that I've got 20 sitting in that location. And we can very clearly see that. And something to bear in mind is that all of this information is all in real time. So as soon as those transactions are posted to Business One, all of those numbers should tally up perfectly. All right, so we click on the transfer button. And now SAP wants to know where we want to put it. All right, so I'm just going to put it into one of my bin locations over here that I've printed our barcodes for, and I'll scan it. And there you see that bin location over there. And how much do I want to move? Let's just say we want to move 2. All right, and that's pretty much it. So there's 2 items there to that bin location, and we click done, and then we click our post button. And then we've done our stock transfer successfully. So let's quickly go and have a look at that. All right, so here's the stock transfer that Project Mix Scan has created. there's that particular item that we picked coming from warehouse 5. It's still staying in warehouse 5, but we're just moving it from one bin location to another one. So from the receiving location through to that new location in the warehouse over there. Nice and easy, nice and quick, and very difficult to get wrong when you're scanning those barcodes. The next one we're going to have a look at is a little bit of a simple sales cycle, just with regards to putting a sales order in the system. I've already put in one over here, and generating a pick list. And then we're going to show you how we pick that pick list, and we can then deliver those goods out, and off the back of that, create an AR invoice. Okay, so looking at our sales order here, I've actually already created the pick list, and as mentioned earlier, we can do that a couple of different ways. So if you're only really doing one document and it's just a quick ad hoc type transaction, then you can just go and right click and go generate a pick list. But otherwise, obviously, if you're doing normal warehouse operations, getting orders out the door, it's much better to use the standard SAP Pick and Pack Manager. All right, so I'm just going to go and view my pick list that I've created here. All right, so there you can see our 2 items on our pick list, and you can see that the pick column over here is still blank, which means we obviously need to go and pick those items. So we'll look in pick list number 16 over there. So we can bring up Project Mix Scan again. We'll just go back to the main menu. And we go to the little forklift guy over here. That's the picking icon. And again, if you know what the number is, you can just pop it in straight there, or else you can click on the reload button and you can see a list of all the open pick lists that need to be picked. And there's our number 16. So we're just going to click on the pick option over there. And then you can see that we've got 2 items that need to be picked, and 2 items each of those SKUs essentially. So I'm going to get my trusty barcode scanner out again, and I'll basically just scan those in, and scan again, and scan again. And there you go. So you can see 2 out of 2 on that particular one. And then onto our next item, and I'll just do pretty much exactly the same thing. All right, there you go. So 2 out of 2 for each of those. And you'll see now that you can actually deliver these items straight from the scanner if you want to. And it'll obviously be quite efficient to do that, but some people still prefer to do the delivery as a back office operation, and that's entirely up to you. So I'm going to use that today. So I'm going to click on the deliver button over there. And then Project Mix Scan creates that document immediately and tells me what the number is over there as well. So I can now jump back to my sales order over here, and I'll refresh it, and you'll see immediately those lines are being closed out. So I can go to my relationship map, and we'll see that there's our delivery all ready to go. And you can also use the packing functionality within SAP Business One directly on the scan gun as well, if that's something that you use. And just to finish off our little scenario over here, let's go and copy that to an AR invoice. And no scanning required here. You can just really click the add button and add your invoice to the system. All right. So that concludes our little Project Mix Scan demo. If you've liked what you've seen, or if there's some more information or some more functionality that you'd like a deeper dive into, again, I recommend getting in touch with your account manager. And what we can then do is we'll organize a specifically tailored demonstration for you, and we can always deep dive into certain aspects of that functionality that you may be interested in. All right, so I'm going to just jump back into our PowerPoint rather, and we'll now be looking at our microchannel scanning solution. So the microchannel scanning solution is called MI1 scanning, and it is a web-based scanning solution, and that's a real modern format for software deployment these days, and also makes it really easy to deploy to a number of different devices. So you could, for instance, have a scanning gun that runs on the Microsoft platform or on the Android platform, and it will work on either of those without any issues at all. It easily manages your inventory flow. Again, it's working with standard SAP Business One transactions, and essentially just follows that standard flow. It doesn't replace any functionality within SAP Business One, and it also allows you to configure different transactions that you want to use. So there may not be all the transactions that you want to use, but because this is a microchannel product, we have a scope of customization that we can do to this product as well to perfectly tailor it to your needs. And one of the great things about it is it's really quick and easy to deploy as well, much like the Project Mix Scan solution as well, because these are aimed at using standard functionality in SAP Business One. They're geared towards rapid implementations and just basically getting the maximum utilization of the product as soon as possible. All right, some of the benefits: increasing your productivity and efficiency with real-time updates, of course, very important. Simple and intuitive interface. You can see it in the screenshot there. It's nice and clean and easy to understand. No need for complicated, bulky, full-scale warehouse management solutions. Yeah, basically just looking at what the functionality that it gives you. Some people don't need all that functionality, and you're paying for stuff that you're not going to use. With this particular solution, it does a certain amount of functionality, and it's popular functionality that a lot of people need, and it's priced appropriately as well. So it's not going to cost you the earth, but it's going to give you that functionality that you require. And by extension, yeah, you can reduce your inventory management and administration overhead. Again, the scanning solution with the accuracy, as I've been going on about, it's all the same with MR1 scanning as well. Connecting to any scanner on the web or on mobile devices, as I mentioned, it's platform independent because it's a web browser interface essentially. And of course, eliminating errors and improving your inventory accuracy. All right, so which scanner is best for my warehouse? This is a question, I guess, that we probably won't be able to fully answer today, but essentially, we got to look at the kind of functionality that you need. And as you can see, Project Mix Scan does have more sort of detailed functionality in some aspects, but yeah, with MI1 scanning, it's definitely a case of you may only need to do a certain kinds of scanning. So you might only be doing goods received POs from purchase orders as an example, and you just want to be increasing your accuracy again. And you potentially don't need certain aspects of system functionality that Project Mix Scan has, because it does have pretty much all of that standard functionality out the box with SAP Business One. Okay, so again, as I mentioned previously, I'd say that the best thing that you could do is get in touch with your account manager, and we'll assess your needs on a case-by-case basis, and we can then make a recommendation as to whether or not MI1 scanning or Project Mix Scan would be a good fit for you guys in either case. It may also be that your requirements are complex enough to warrant the use of Project Mix WMS. As mentioned a little bit earlier, that's the more complex warehouse management solution. So that may be that you're just a large enough business and you need that sort of functionality, in which case we'll be able to help you with that one as well. All right, then we basically have a bit of a special offer going on at the moment. So basically until the end of September, we're offering 20% off on licenses for both Project Mix Scan and MI1 scanning. Yeah, it's a little bit of a tempting treat to dangle in front of everyone today. So hopefully that's basically raised your interest in the product. Basically look forward to helping everyone out with any inquiries that they may have about either of these two solutions. As mentioned, here are the contact details of your account managers if you haven't got them on hand, and please feel free to contact them and ask them any questions. And I personally look forward to working with anyone who's interested in these solutions. I hope that everyone found this this session interesting and useful, and look forward to delivering future sessions.